Hello and welcome to day 6 of the Netball World Youth Cup here in Gaborone, Botswana. We have been treated to some spectacular netball over the last 5 days from our pool rounds, and you join us today as we get to the qualification stages here at the University of Botswana Indoor Sports Centre. We will be hosting the top 8 playoffs today as we get through to our qualification stages, and they have all got here because they have finished in the top 2 in their representative pools. My name is Alison and I'm joined here today with Denise Egan as we start to watch game 1, which will be New Zealand versus South Africa. Denise, would you like to take us through the starting lineups today?
Yes, we've got some great lineups. We've had a range of different players and it's really keen to see some of the teams that are being put out in this qualification stages. So New Zealand, goal shooter Wilson, on the goal attack Maturo, wing attack Ruella Buchanan, Ellie on the centre, the captain Sokolic Beatson on the wing defence, goal defence Erwood, and bringing on the goalkeeper we have Kelly Jury. That brings up the New Zealand starting 7. So here we have South Africa squad lists and the starting 7. On the goal shooter Lochner, goal attack Ventner, the captain wing attack Shawani, centre Amaris, Reniki on the wing defence, Ziegelmeyer goal defence, and Rabi brings in the position at goalkeeper.
Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome on court Team New Zealand. Goal shooter.
So the umpires today, Alison Davies and Kate Stevenson, and the coach Kiri Wills, Dorette Badenhurst for South Africa. So as we see, New Zealand are entering the court in their black strips. Great tradition from New Zealand, waiting for their opponent South Africa.
The coach of the team is Kiri Wills.
As we mentioned, we're moving into our qualification stages in the Netball World Youth Cup here in Gaborone, and this is definitely different pressure on our players going into today than we've had in our pool rounds.
Yes, this is the top 8 places, the quarterfinals. So the first pools of 5 have now brought them into the top 8. So our first 4 matches today at venue 1 in the indoor sports arena bring us with South Africa in the green versus New Zealand in the black.
South African girls looking relaxed there and excited to get the game underway.
Yeah, this is an important part of the build-up. The winners of these will take them through the top 4. And there we have our great officials, sturdy performance from them throughout. Here we go. And strong one-on-one pressure. Very significant of the style from New Zealand. It's important in the early stages that they cement their relationships, bringing their centre pass attack to a goal. So it's a patient build-up by New Zealand. Wilson to take the shot. And as usual, she certainly puts that through the hoop. So an early turnover from the centre pass defence for New Zealand. Maya Wilson makes that to New Zealand, and Royal South Africa yet to make their mark on this game. And there we see the strong arms over from the wing defence, the captain Sokolic Beatson. Another fantastic turnover. New Zealand are renowned for their defence strategies at the centre pass.
It's great to see the support round the circle edge of Ryu Buchanan.
So turnover for South Africa. Need to bring this through nice and safely and securely, but with not out any hesitation, showing great confidence. That's a good lead to the top. From the wing attack, Shawani, the captain of South Africa. And in the early stages, deeming to get the ball closer to goal. Penalty given. A little bit of a hesitant start by Ventnor. Quick transition, speedy, mechanical for the New Zealand squad.
New Zealand have definitely come out not showing any nerves today as they start the qualification rounds.
They see Matura coming off the screen at the centre pass, a well-rehearsed structure and strategy for their attacking unit. Beautiful feed to the shooter under the post. 2 shooters on as an option for the feeder. Wilson makes that 4 out of 4, taking New Zealand to 4.
South Africa really need to start getting their campaign underway.
Yep, as you can see, New Zealand push over the line in their 3 over, smothering that line on the first phase of the centre pass. But that is a stronger lead by South Africa. They're really picking up the pace. Great vision to shoot her under the post from Shawani. And Lochner puts that one to bed.
The crowd were definitely pleased to see South Africa get their campaign underway here. Again, Wilson creating some great space in the shooting circle there.
Yeah, very good linkage we've seen throughout the early phases in this tournament between the goal attack, Batura and Wilson. Looking in early to create that connection. And Ventnor puts it in. Nerves seem to be a bit more settled now for the South African group. Oh, great defensive work around the circle edge by Reniki. It's good goal wing defense. She trains very hard to be able to steal some of that ball. Contact called on the edge, and Maya Wilson quite easy to find under the post. She's got a great strength in there with her positioning. So New Zealand going to 6, South Africa 2.
We can see the coaches there watching on. It's very early stages in the first quarter of game 1 on day 6, but they're all looking very relaxed at this stage.
Good use of the out and in by Lochner and Ventnor. And Ventnor 3 out of 3. Lifts the rest of the team. Crowds are really getting behind the South Africans and the New Zealand players. A great atmosphere here. Beautiful vision from the wing attack. Ruella Buchanan to the post.
Well, unlucky there, South Africa working hard to try and keep that ball on, but unfortunately lose possession.
Yeah, South Africa just not having the strength on that long ball to keep it in, but there we have a great turnover from the mid-court. It's good to see attacking players taking some defensive interceptions.
Another goal there from Venter. That takes New Zealand 7, South Africa on 4. Patient build up here from New Zealand, taking their time to make the pass through to the shooters.
Good, strong front position. And Matura nails that one. That's her first shot. That'll give her great confidence. It's good to have different leads from both shooters, just to disrupt a very organised South African defensive unit. And stalwart of the South African shooters, that long reach from Jury and Irwood is certainly making its mark, disrupting the shot.
Great strength on display there from Rue Buchanan. And the shot again from Wilson takes New Zealand out to 9, South Africa 5.
It's good to see goal attack on the front position and a split lead to the post by my Wilson, giving easy options for the wing attack. So first phase, South Africa working the ball through strongly, using the step around from the wing attack. Shawani, the captain. But as you can see, New Zealand are relentless in their positioning and the reading of where that ball may go to. So they've always got an arm to go in, moving their feet rapidly so that they're not creating contact, so they get a clean interception and turnover.
Both teams have come out strong. South Africa had a shaky start for this quarter, but both teams are now starting to settle. What can we read from that?
Great shot by Matura. So, South Africa, throughout this phase, everybody has struggled against New Zealand centre pass attack. But they've started to get a little bit better on the second phase. We just need a bit more care with the feed in the circle. South Africa defence tightening up, putting more pressure on the shooter to shoot the ball. So both teams finding out their strengths and weaknesses, vying against each other. Strong arms over, limiting the vision of the feeders into the South African goal circle. Excellent triangle play, hitting the top and straight into Ventnor under the post. So that gives us, in the last 5 minutes of this quarter, New Zealand 12, South Africa 6. So we got a half score here and a great build-up. My Wilson running the back line, leaving the space open for Matura to hit the post. Great shooter rotation.
It's great to see the umpires taking control of this game. We couldn't do this tournament without the umpires.
No, they do a sterling job. Right, they're long days for some of them. Some really finely contested matches. They've got an awful lot of decisions to make, especially when this game is so speedy and finely contested. There's a double split. Yeah, you can see that long reach and jump from Irwood, disturbing the action of the goal attack Venter.
Some good rebound in there to ensure that Lochner could get the shot.
Wilson opting to hit the pocket and Chase to receive the 1-2. Matura is used to offloading but taking the shot on. Yep, and she sees it. Good shot there from this young player from New Zealand, only 16 years old, and this under-21 World Cup. Great take by the centre, Amaris, for South Africa, and looks in early for Lochner.
We start to approach the final few minutes in this first quarter of game 1 on day 6 here in the Netball World Youth Cup in Gaborone. What do you think the coaches are going to start thinking of? Do you think there'll be any changes as we lead into the second quarter?
Well, if it was me, probably wouldn't. I would just speak with the players, just tidy up a few of the technical and tactical bits of information that they might need to go on. It might be that they have other impact players. That's where coach will really know their squad and who will make the difference. Some coaches will make changes, but a lot of the top teams tend to go and have 2 quarters. So at least the players have time to put into action any of the problems that they might have found with each other.
That goal takes South Africa to 8 and New Zealand 15.
So the circle defence, the 2 backliners from South Africa coming in strong, but perhaps need to take an extra step to come onto the ball so that they're not getting any contact calls. Now that's a turnover. Will this take it through to the goal to extend the New Zealand lead?
We've had some
Brilliant shot. She's shooting really well, isn't she, Maya Wilson? Right? Gives great confidence. Excellent drive of Matura to the top. She loves hitting the top and offloading to shoot her under the post. She does that in her ANZ league as well.
It's nice to see the crowd filling in. We're starting to get a really good atmosphere here for our playoff stages.
Yeah, held ball. Excellent. One-on-one defence by the New Zealand defensive unit. And there we can see, true to form, straight line ball through the court, the swing across, looking for the shooter under the post.
These shooters are very difficult to mark. They've got some great movement, they're working well together, and they've got some fabulous shots. We've had some great accuracy from close and far ranges so far today.
Yes, we certainly have. They're linking very well, their connections are excellent. So New Zealand at the moment extending their lead. South Africa, that's a much better attempt to stop the shooter to shoot a ball, and they get possession, taking us into the last stages, the last minute of this first quarter. Long ball out. We're really searching to get that ball over the transverse line.
Great intercept there from the goalkeeper Jury. Well read.
That's a well-built plan by New Zealand. A lot of pressure on the thrower, forcing the long ball, and Wilson takes that. 2. New Zealand 20, South Africa 8.
In the closing seconds of this first day here at the University of Botswana Indoor Sports Centre, we are coming to the close of quarter 1. Can South Africa have enough time to get another goal?
Here we go. Yes, and true to form, Lochner has been very sturdy and reliable for the South African team. So here we close off the first quarter.
We have New Zealand with a score of 20, South Africa with a score of 9. We will join you again in a few moments as we go into our second quarter of game 1 on day 6 here at the Netball World Youth Cup in Gaborone. Welcome back to our second quarter here of New Zealand versus South Africa. New Zealand are currently leading with a score of 20, with South Africa 9. We definitely had a shakier start to our South Africa starting campaign, and New Zealand have come out all guns blazing.
Yep, South Africa really need, hopefully, to have sorted out that centre pass attack at the second phase. Just some stats for you as the umpires are ready to enter the court. We get a 4-minute interval. Really keen to see that superb start by New Zealand with a scoreline of 20 out of 20, 100%, and South Africa 9 out of 12, 75. New Zealand centre pass. So Matura deemed to have caused some sort of obstruction, gives a penalty to South Africa on an early turnover from the New Zealand centre pass. Great vision. Shooter to shooter ball on the wide angle.
There may have been some changes here after the first quarter. If we have any changes, we'll get them to you as soon as we have them.
So, as you can see, New Zealand circle defence double teaming on the major threat of Lochner, the goal shooter, and then a split circle, picking up on the one-on-one. And great movement to the post by Lochner, and she gets that second goal in. So that takes us to 1-1 at the start of this second quarter.
Just to clarify there, the first goal for New Zealand was not allowed due to an obstruction of some sort. So that was our first goal of this second quarter in game one. The score is currently 20 to New Zealand, 10 to South Africa.
Matura left under the post, puts that one in nice and cleanly. What we call a swish shot.
New Zealand were quick to put that to bed, weren't they, Denise, and get their campaign underway in this second quarter. Much to the delight of the New Zealand crowd.
Yes, certainly, they will not have liked to have scored off their first centre pass. It's one of the statistics you work very hard on in training with your strategy, your set plays, and your options from that to make sure that you do nail a goal at every opportunity. And of course, your centre pass is the one you start possession with.
Some other teams may have been phased by that start to their quarter, but New Zealand definitely pushed too hard, just losing possession there as South Africa take the ball through the court.
I think the umpires deemed that to be a footwork error.
Great shooter-to-shooter pass there.
Penalty taken by the call attack Ventnor, so both shooters on the board. The second quarter in this qualification match, day 6 in Gaborone. Notice my Wilson coming out on the lead, leaving that space for Matura under the post. So just switching up their strategies with the pairing of goal attack and goal shooter. Starting on a stack together, and then we'll see a split lead.
We had a shot there, the South African crowd looking a little bit nervous after this start to the game.
So there you can see New Zealand setting up on what we call a wide centre pass, with Matura holding the fist up, probably an indication for the centre to put the ball back. It's good to switch the start-up setups making sure defense don't get into any pickup of patterns. It's well worked to the pocket, keeping the ball flat and fast. And Ventnor, as usual, puts it in confidently. Good, strong shooter position under the post. And this is where South Africa are struggling. Showing a little bit of patience. Offering and re-offering to get this ball into the attacking third. New Zealand dropping back onto the 5-foot mark, putting that line of black across. A lot of movement to disturb the space in front of the ball. Good work by South Africa. Little bounce offload.
Just to confirm the changes as well as we go into our second quarter for South Africa, the goal defence and the goalkeeper have switched positions. So Rabbi has moved up to the goal defence and Ziegelmeier has moved back to goalkeeper, trying to counteract the work of the New Zealand shooters.
Yeah, we saw in the early stages, Ziegelmeier has been very dominant on the goalkeeper. So I was a little surprised at the starting change, that she was out on the goal defence. So let's see if this can make a difference and get South Africa to close this scoreline down. We've seen a lot more patience in the build-up. A lot of leg work by the attacking unit.
South Africa shooters are working really hard in the shooting circle to get round the defence of Irwood and Jury.
Yeah, they're certainly causing them some problems in there, especially if that final feed comes in and it's very accurate. So here we go. New Zealand on the attack from position by Wilson. Middle range shot and nails it again, bringing her back into the game for her second shot. So 26 New Zealand in the black, and in the green South Africa on 14 goals. Great goal from Ventnor, just switching shooting load there a little bit between Ventnor and Lochner.
We can definitely see that South Africa have come out a bit stronger this quarter.
Yeah, I think it's a much better combination for the South African pairing, with Ziegelmeier on the goalkeeper and Raby on the goal defence. And here we go. Can South Africa keep this relentless attacking movement going? Long range shot, so they're forcing a longer range shot, and there's the offload. Very clever. Just on that last second. So we're halfway through this second quarter of this qualification match for the top 8 positions. Bit of a wrap around the leg for Matura. So I think it's about 7-all on this quarter, so this is much closer than we had at the start of the game. So coach changes made by South Africa have been significant to bring them back into the game. A little bit of a misdrop ball there by the captain of South Africa, Shawani. And Maturo, I can't believe how cool that girl is at 16 years age, eh?
It's incredible to see. We've seen a lot of that over this tournament so far over the last 5 days. We've had some great young talent on display, definitely inspiring everybody who's watching, and hopefully will be some names that we need to listen out for in the future.
Yep. Quickly mopped up by jury after a little bit of a footwork error, centre pass error.
New Zealand seem to be finding their flow in this quarter.
Yep, they certainly do, but South Africa are coming back. They're knitting the ball through a lot faster. The timing, right, and their spatial awareness has really improved. So that gives Matura her 6th shot. New Zealand 31, South Africa 16.
The New Zealand bench look pleased with the start they've had in this first half.
Oh, great work. Wilson leads to the edge of the circle. A quick sprint to the post, excellently timed.
The crowd are definitely being treated to some fantastic netball here today.
It certainly is. And I'm sure those of you who are watching this game from all over the world, right, a great spectacle of two fine nations. The preparation that goes in, not just from the squad players, but from the management team, the NGBs, right, is phenomenal. Yeah, and it's great to see, right, netball, as they say, is on the up and up. Throughout this campaign, we've had over 1.2 million viewers. So well done, you lot out there. Right, we're bringing this game to the whole world. Fantastic. So we're into the last 4 minutes. And New Zealand just sealing this game out, making sure, right, they keep the distance. They're building on each quarter. But South Africa never giving up, showing some good shooting combinations and work through the attacking third. So much better start to their attacking unit.
As we approach the closing minutes of this first half, what do you think the coaches will be saying to their teams at half-time?
Oh, that's a big question, isn't it? So as a commentator, it's always a little bit different because you don't know every structure, everything that they're saying. But for me, it would really be, I think, the circle defence of South Africa have really tightened up. We've had a few passing errors from New Zealand, not many, but we have had a few where they have to tidy up their connections. Perhaps see not just one mover. Look for the straight line on the long and the short options, and really to just take this game home for New Zealand. But South Africa have a big job on their hand now as New Zealand extend the lead to 17 goals.
New Zealand continue to maintain their composure through court. Even when South Africa was starting to close the gap, they continue to work hard and pull away and capitalise on any errors they can. And that takes the score to New Zealand 35, South Africa 17.
As you see, usual for Lochner. She likes that close range shot near the post. Ventnor working around the outside, where the New Zealand pairing, they're prepared to switch the leads. So Matura sometimes taking an outside shot, Wilson under the post and vice versa. That gives great variety to New Zealand feeders.
We saw some great play through court there from South Africa, with Lochner awarding that movement with a goal. We can see our subs getting warmed up, ready in case there needs to be any changes.
So what a fantastic start to day 6, match 1, qualification stages for the top 8 here at the Netball World Cup in Africa, Gaborone. Yeah, this is a youth tournament. All of these players are under 21. So New Zealand with a 15-goal lead to take us into the half-time.
Have they got time to get another one here, Denise?
I certainly do.
Yes, they do.
You only need time for 2 passes to get that ball under the ring. So 36 goals to 20, New Zealand lead. First qualification match of the quarterfinals. And there we have it. 36 goals New Zealand, 20 to South Africa. So a great first match. The ball flowing through the court very easily for New Zealand, but some extra defensive pressure by the South African pairing have kept this scoreline down.
Definitely a great start to our day 6 today here in the Netball World Youth Cup in Gaborone at the University of Botswana Indoor Sports Centre. We are watching the top 8 playoffs today, trying to get through to the top 4. We've had a great display of netball with a slightly shaky start to South Africa, who have then come back as we've moved through.
And yes, just to bring you a little bit of note on that, a much better quarter by South Africa. New Zealand was 16 and South Africa 11, so they are trying to close that gap.
It was great to see them come back. New Zealand, however, have kept their composure, as we mentioned, and been working through. We can see South Africa is staying out currently for their half-time talk. They're just having a discussion with their coaches. New Zealand have gone back to their changing room for their half-time discussion. We've got a great crowd in here today who are getting the opportunity to witness a great display of netball, and we'll leave you here for a few moments to watch the highlights of that first half, and we'll see you for the third quarter.
I'm only living life to the fullest. I can see the difference. I'm improving day in and day out. I'm doing the most from the team all over to Copello. Kalija Parana with the Parane, Chava Chava Poa, Aditivanek, Gabuera Hurupa Jaco Tupe, Gagesaliman, Wabukuwe, Nabuarana, Pejuarana, victory shall come. Tujarana, Shonarana, victory shall come.
Pushing boundaries, we are soaring high. Victory, victory, victory is in our blood. Victory, victory, victory is in our blood.
It's the time of the year, and we at it again. Just believe that you can become whatever you see in your head. The time is now, we can never look back. When the going is tough, we top it back. Go on to win, you should never lose that. So fell up in lose, I bet you relax.
What's on my fighting, Gababa, the Rafi, Abafazi, Batalapon, Bahaga, Banit, Bonne, Bacopaneti, Mabale. Kilitabo, Monoma, Ramerafe, Recabile, Camepara, Capilla, Cabota, Chavome, Bacopanet, tletse mabaleng diphadisano tsa ditšhaba mabaleng go tswa mafatshe ka bophara rafi ya bapala I'm only living life to the fullest. I can see the difference. I'm improving day in and day out. I'm doing the most from the team. Logo to Copello. Kalija Parana, Buta Paranik, Chaba Chaba Power, Aditivanek, Gabuera, Hurupa Jago Tupe, Gagesaliwan, Wabukuwe, Labuarana, Pejuarana, victory shall come. Tuarana, Sonarana, victory shall come.
We are moving, we are rising high, pushing boundaries, we are soaring high. Victory, victory, victory is in our blood. Victory, victory, victory is in our blood.
mafatsheng ka bophara merafe ya bapala a bafatsi ba tlala bona bagaka ba nnetse bomme ba kopanetse mabaleng ke lethabo mono ngwaga merafeng re kapile ka mebala re phela ka bothata jwa bomme ba kopanetse mabaleng diphadisano tsa ditšhaba mabaleng go tswa mafatshe ka bophara merafe ya bapala.
Welcome back. You join us today on day 6, game 1 of the Netball World Youth Cup here in Gaborone. You join us at the University of Botswana Indoor Sports Centre, and we currently are starting our second half of New Zealand versus South Africa in our first game of our playoffs in the top 8, trying to get through to the top 4. New Zealand currently lead with a score of 36 to South Africa's 20. We've seen some different examples of half-time talks. South Africa stayed out courtside and were talked to by their coach, and New Zealand went back to their change rooms and then reappeared.
Yes, very interesting. Some teams might deem to do that because it is a little bit of a journey to the changing rooms. And it's just what they're happy with. We do get a lot longer time to talk to teams, their preparation off the bench sometimes. You could do video feedback, etc. So South Africa deeming to stay on the bench. And here we have New Zealand, first centre pass.
We've seen some cool heads in the first half from New Zealand, capitalising on any mistakes that South Africa have made.
Commentator's curse, as soon as you say that, there we go. That's an early error. We've got new combination of shooters, so Wilson stays on at the goal shooter. Maturo goes off from the goal attack, and Faulkner enters the court at goal attack for New Zealand. And we have a new centre. It's Poi for New Zealand instead of Ellie.
We've also had a shuffle around in our South African team. So Shawani, the captain, has moved from wing attack to wing defence, and Shang has come on at wing attack. We've got 2 new defenders in the South African end trying to combat these New Zealand goal shooters. We have Reniki coming on at goal defence, who was at wing defence, and we have Brandt coming on off the bench to goalkeeper.
Yes, and Faulkner comes on, really makes her mark in the shooting circle for New Zealand with an excellent long-range shot. Swiss shot. Certainly takes an awful lot of practice to come on and put those balls through as she did there.
It was interesting to see. We've just mentioned their half-time routine. Faulkner didn't come out and put any shots up during half-time, yet she comes out with confidence to take a long shot.
Yeah, unbeknown to you, underneath this fabulous arena, there are some other courts where the shooters can go and put some shots up. It's good for everybody to know the preparation, right, that has gone in to this Netball World Youth Cup, right, has been phenomenal, so that the shooters have access to posts right next to the changing rooms.
That's really interesting to get an insight to what's going on behind the scenes. As we watch the second half of this game unfold. A miss there, unfortunately, for Venter. Gives New Zealand possession, but great arms from Lochner, a goal shooter. And South Africa are back on the attack.
Yes, Lochner showing a little bit more movement, really coming out, penetrating on the long lead, coming out and really energized herself to get that first shot in. So 3-2 at the moment in this third quarter of the qualification round for the top 8 places.
Again, cool, calm head from Wilson there, the goal shooter from New Zealand. Goal defence, Reniki there just getting caught by 2 New Zealand defenders, but South Africa have possession.
So the captain, Sokolic Peterson, takes an intercept, falls onto her back and still manages to put a pass away. How fantastic, what strength she has, and vision and determination.
The crowd definitely enjoying this game.
So that change that was made of the captain that we have on the wing defence, Shawani to wing defence, an early interruption on the wing attack from New Zealand at the centre pass. Often our centre court players at this top level are asked to play 3 positions, so they can go wing attack, wing defence or centre.
A rare miss there from our New Zealand team we've just witnessed, but they collect the rebound and get the goal. That takes New Zealand to 42 to South Africa's 21.
Yes.
Great vision there from the centre, Amras from South Africa. And Lochner rewards her with a goal to the delight of our South African crowd.
Footwork error. Players looking on. New Zealand do get the ball, seem to be able to pass it off 1 or 2 feet. Ball's delivered to them very quickly. Opportunity for South Africa to bring this to a 6-3 start to this quarter, and she does. Lochner, steady Eddie.
South Africa back on the attack.
Yeah, opting to use the backup to the wing defence. A different type of strategy to try and break through the line of the 3 over from New Zealand. And it works.
Great screen there by the shooters, allowing Venter to get the space. Ball a bit long in there for New Zealand.
Yeah, a lot more pressure. So the coaches have deemed to put fresh legs on, a new combination for South Africa in the circle defence, and it's causing some disruption to the New Zealand pairing of the shooters, Faulkner and Wilson. So I'm sure we'll see great intensity for New Zealand to get this ball back.
Don't forget, if you want to keep in touch with us here in Gaborone, we are follow the hashtag NWYC 2017 or hashtag Rabatza. Great defensive work there, but South Africa maintain possession and are patiently building it up around the circle edge with Amaris and Shanj. Obstruction call there. Ventnor chooses to put the ball down for Lochner to take the shot. And a goal. Great atmosphere here for all the different age groups in the crowd.
Certainly is. This is really tight last quarter. 6 goals to New Zealand so far, 5 to South Africa. So finally contested quarter-final match here at the Netball World Youth Cup. Feed extending. The goal shooter from South Africa forcing a turnover.
We saw some great commitment there from South Africa, going for the intercept, but arms not quite long enough.
So New Zealand really having to play this ball around, resetting to the transverse line. Just trying to concrete their new connections between their change of combinations, and a hell ball called. It's not happening at the moment.
Great footwork around the shooter there from Maniki, putting lots of pressure on the shooters, and South Africa are on the attack.
Long ball through the court from South Africa. So New Zealand have to adapt a little bit to the changes that they've made. And Ventnor comes on, puts another one in, so all square.
Great to see South Africa fighting back this quarter. The current score for the game is New Zealand 42, South Africa 26. But as Denise has mentioned, we're all square in this third quarter. Game 1 on day 6 of the Netball World Youth Cup here in Gaborone.
Yes, I'm sure Dorette Badenhorst, the coach of South Africa, will be most pleased with the changes that have been made, and the commitment and the intensity and the tactical understanding that these players are showing.
Offside call there.
Yeah, so New Zealand tightening up. Right, very quickly putting more pressure to stop that back centre pass coming out from South Africa. And Faulkner, as he is, easy squeezy, takes those long range shots on, much to the delight of the crowd, and there's another one.
Great long shot there. South Africa coaches shouting at their team, trying to get them to stay tight and keep this goal level for this third quarter.
Yeah, so just when you think South Africa coming back into the game, we see New Zealand go into top gear, bringing a little bit more of their A game in. Superb box out and rebound from Jury on the goalkeeper. She has 4 caps for New Zealand. It's going to be a stalwart of that New Zealand squad for the future, as I'm sure a lot of these under-21s will be. That was closely contested. The new goalkeeper Brandt is doing a good job in there on Mai Wilson, forcing her further away from the post. A little bit of hustling and bustling in there.
Are we noticing any change of strategies as they've come out from their halftime talks?
Yes, certainly. It's good always that coaches can put on a pairing. So they've gained a lot of understanding tactically. They're good at reading off each other, more or less having instinct within their style of play. So we've seen that so far from the goal defence, Reneke and Brandt, the goalkeeper for South Africa. And this Botswana spectators are getting behind. We can hear out there. Right, the noise is starting to rise, the songs are coming out, the dancers will start to resonate and lift both teams to great performances.
We've been really lucky that we've had some great atmospheres throughout the games in the last 5 days here in Gaborone at the University of Botswana Indoor Sports Centre.
Yeah, a little bit of a late attempt to go for the ball there, taking Faulkner out, but she pulls herself up. The mental toughness of these players is tremendous.
That takes our score to New Zealand 48, South Africa 26.
So a 12-6 scoreline in this third quarter.
That ball was well kept on there. New Zealand maintained possession. Faulkner unfortunately misses the long shot. And South Africa start their attack. Great drive through there from Merwood, working hard as we go into this third quarter. Just a bit late and got the contact call.
Yeah, when New Zealand put that zone on, South Africa got to ensure that they do drive strongly through the gaps. Don't wait for the ball.
We're starting to see a few misses creep in into this third quarter.
Yeah, I think both circle defences are putting an awful lot of pressure on, forcing some longer balls where the percentage accuracy will be lower. Maya Wilson just opting for a little bit of a fake on the shot to tempt the defence in to get the penalty to ensure she gets a clear shot for goal.
You may have heard, if you've been listening to us on some previous occasions, we have some local schools that have been given teams to support and they come in to watch their games, and we have, I can see a team to our left in the commentary box who have flags. They're using with the New Zealand flags, they're singing, they're dancing, and they're really enjoying this game. Great atmosphere and a great way to inspire our younger generation locally in the community and wider afield.
Oh, stupendous sweeping from the goal defence from Reneke from South Africa, stopping that ball going into Maya Wilson. So they're interrupting their patterns of play, which is good to see.
We're approaching the last minute or so of this third quarter here, day 6, game 1.
I just feel as if the circle defence from both teams have really stepped up a notch. They're really coming on to the ball a lot more, reading the play. Every pass is being contested. So the scoreline, New Zealand 49, South Africa 26. Could this take us up to the half century? Yes, it does. Maya Wilson makes sure of that.
Closing few seconds in this game. Can we get another goal?
So 14-6 this quarter. Let's make it 15 for New Zealand. Yes.
So
solid performance from Wilson.
After a very even start at this quarter, New Zealand have definitely started to pull away again as we come to the latter stages.
Yeah, they've got that, what we call that top level of performance. They can kick into a higher A-class game when it's needed. Sometimes they just cruise, go through the motions of a well-timed unit and linkage through the court. So here we have the scoreline.
So that is the close of our third quarter, and we have New Zealand with a score of 51 and South Africa with a score of 26. We definitely saw South Africa come out from their halftime talk ready and excited for this second half, and we're going goal for goal with New Zealand. Unfortunately, New Zealand did start to pull away in the second half of that quarter.
Yes, it just took about 5 minutes for the new combinations that came on for Faulkner, goal attack, and Poyet centre, right, to get their linkages with their attack. But once that happened, after about 3 or 4 minutes, they've certainly taken this game to South Africa. But well done, some good changes made by both teams, and it's leading us into the final quarter.
Yeah, we'll leave you with the highlights and we'll join you shortly with that fourth quarter.
I'm only living life to the fullest. I can see the difference. I'm improving day in and day out. I'm doing the most. I'm the team all over to compare the low. Kalija parana buta parane. Chaba chaba poa adi kibane. Gabu wera hulu pajabu kupe. Like Salimwan. Wabu kuwe. Victory shall come. Victory shall come.
We are moving, we are rising high. Pushing boundaries, we are victory is in us. Victory is in
You join us back here at the start of the final quarter in our first game on day 6 at the Netball World Youth Cup in Gaborone. We are witnessing some great displays of netball. We currently have New Zealand versus South Africa. New Zealand with a score of 51. South Africa with a score of 26, and it's a New Zealand centre.
So it looks as if there's been a few changes to the New Zealand squad. We will bring them to you as soon as we get them. And an excellent start to this final quarter. First goal in for Mai Wilson. Fine contest from the New Zealand wing attack, putting an awful lot of pressure on that ball and passage of play through the court. Ruela Buchanan.
South African defence working hard there, trying to put some pressure on these New Zealand goal shooters. Great long shot there.
So long lead out by Wilson and Faulkner, entering the circle from the top, hitting the space under the post for an easy high percentage shot. So there we can see on the screen, ex-performance director from England, Waitamanu. And she's probably just arrived to observe some of her daughter's performances, playing for New Zealand in this under-21 Cup Championship. Having keen conversations, probably catching up on what's been happening. And lots of great friends there. Helen Manafort played for England. against Y. Or was that a little bit later? We've got long friendships in netball, often starting from the under 21 World Netball Youth Cup.
A miss there, unfortunately, for the goal attack from South Africa. Will New Zealand capitalise on this?
Oh, what a lovely 1-2 to the corner, turn in the air, and fabulous pass. Mai Wilson meeting it, reading it, helping support her attacking unit. So a new goal shooter from South Africa, putting the ball in.
Again, we'll get those changes to you as soon as we have them. We currently have the goal defence from New Zealand leaving the court, being replaced by Irwood, who was on during the first half.
Yeah, teams in this last quarter just resting some legs, putting on different combinations. It's very important for both teams. South Africa obviously trying to put combinations to narrow this gap, and New Zealand with a comfortable, well-earned lead, just ringing the changes for some of these players. So this championship is over 9 days. We are on to day 6.
It's great to see South Africa continuing their fight in this final quarter, working hard, showing us some great netball.
Yeah, fine shot of the officials and the umpires, who do a sterling job day in, day out. Right, they have to be just as fit as the players who are out on the court. 2 umpires, the whole of the court. Whole of the court, 14 players. So that puts to you the intensity and the speed and the endurance that is needed by the umpires at this level.
We've seen a few misses creep in this early stage of this final quarter. Could that be due to some fatigue?
I wouldn't have thought so at this point, just about perhaps some lapses in concentration, perhaps regaining a little bit of their technique back, different defense coming on, adapting to the style of a jump or a lean over from the hands of the second stage defenders in the circle.
We had a shot there of the South African coach, looking pensive, watching on.
I think in these stages, the last quarter of this qualification round, South Africa just thinking a little bit ahead, resting some legs. Obviously they'll go into another playoff game because we're playing for the top 8 places.
We had the
Netball World Youth Cup.
We had a contrasting view there of the New Zealand bench, who look a lot more relaxed, probably already looking ahead to the next stages in this playoff stage.
Yeah, certainly will be. Fine performance by the squad from New Zealand and the management team. Just looking on, looking at the timing, things that they might need to go to performance analysis to revisit. Things that are going well, things they might need to just readjust with their units and their team performance. So we're in the top 8 of this Netball World Youth Cup. So we've had the preliminary rounds that lead us to the qualification. So we're in the qualifications. So top 8 teams have fought in a pool of 5 to get us to this point. So we have this playoff today, as we will the other 4 of the top 8. And then from them, they will then cross over. So the winner of this game today and this pool will do a crossover to play the runner-up of the other pool. So we're really into 2 pools now, 4 in each pool. So I think it's very important for both teams to think about what's going to happen next, because as you can see from the scoreline, New Zealand are on a 58 to South Africa 29. So coaches, when you're comfortable and thinking we're nice and safe, we'll play a few players, rest a few legs, put some different connections, some teams on, to just get a little bit of timing, good timing and spatial awareness. Now we can see the wing attack, just seeing one shooter movement. So at times we do have fatigue coming in, and that can affect our vision.
As you mentioned there, Denise, as well, it's important for South Africa, even if they aren't able to get the win from this game, they will have another game coming up where they can play to try and get to the best position they possibly can within this top 8. So there's still lots to fight for these teams going forward.
Yeah, and it's always very interesting. The teams have fought very hard. The last championship, they might have been in 12th position, and some of those teams have now got themselves into the top 8. For most of the others, they'll be then trying to get into the top 4. So top 4 will be in the playoffs from 1st to 4th place. And that's played all the way through these last 3 days of this championship. It's very important to remember every team will be placed. So the top 16, they will do exactly the same. So we're seeing a clinical performance from New Zealand now. Just going about the job, doing the business. Coming to a 61 goals for New Zealand, 29 for South Africa. South Africa with new combinations on. A little bit struggling at the moment, but it does expose them at this level. We've got a bit of a tipsy tumble by the two centres. Just a little bit of a clash there.
Just to bring you the changes that Denise has just mentioned from South Africa leading into the final quarter as well. We have Tawani, who's come off the bench to go to goal shooter for South Africa. And we've had Lochner move from the goal shooter position out to the goal attack. Shawani has made her way back to where she started as a wing attack. And Jacobs has come on to the wing defence position. So a few changes around for South Africa. The New Zealand crowd definitely enjoying this game so far today. This is game 1 on day 6 of the Netball World Youth Cup here in Gaborone.
So as the viewers are watching on, this competition has been sponsored by SPAR, and the Botswana team have been fortunate enough to have Player of the Match sponsored by SPAR, and this will continue for the last 8 teams. So the commentators will be having great discussion, obviously avidly watching on this game, bringing it to you, and the Player of the Match sponsored by SPAR will be transmitted to you as the game completes.
New Zealand defence, they're making it hard for the South African shooters.
Yeah, Jury's long reach really causing some problems for South Africa.
But a great long shot there from Lochner.
Yeah, but she puts the second one in. So a new goal shooter for South Africa, showing a little bit of change in the rotation. Yep, and so my co-commentator here just mentioned goal shooter for South Africa coming out onto the goal attack. So just ringing the changes. And there we can see Dunn coming on for New Zealand, giving my Wilson a little bit of a rest in there. So exposure to all the 4 New Zealand shooters. Just keeping them ticking over, ready for their semi-final matchup. And there she goes, great shot.
That takes our score, New Zealand 65, South Africa 30 in this final quarter of our first playoff game for the top 8 positions.
Yep, New Zealand have, even though they've made changes, have been relentless in their defensive and attack performances, taking this quarter score to 14-4 so far. Still a couple of minutes to go, but everybody really working hard out on this court here today. And lovely vision into South Africa goal shooter, and she seals it. That was much more comfortable. Good circle rotation.
As we approach the final few minutes of this first game, who have been our standout players from both teams?
Well, we've had quite a few. I think we've had switching combinations. I thought the 2 in the circle, Brandt and Reneke, came on very strongly at the start of the second half. And their stalwart in the goal shooter position, Lochner, has put out a really good performance. And then if we go to New Zealand, I could list a range of many, many players in each of their positions. But Wilson, obviously, she's been there very strong. Matura, right, high percentage of shots and really getting into the circle, mixing up what is happening. But Ruella Buchanan have serviced them very, very well. Erwood and Jury been a great combination with the help of their captain, Sokolich Beatson. So I probably named the whole of the starting 7.
I think you might have done there, Denise, but that just shows that we have been witnessing some great displays of netball here from the New Zealand team. South Africa have fought hard throughout the game, but New Zealand have been relentless and not capitalised on any mistakes that they may have made, as we can see there. And they quite often take it down to goal and punish them, as we can see. That takes our score to
68-31 to New Zealand. Have we got time? Yes, we do, for another. Dunn puts that one in very neatly.
remaining few seconds here of this final quarter. Both teams still fighting hard. The crowd have enjoyed a great match here. Great shot there from South Africa. Taking their score to 32. New Zealand 69.
Oh, great take by Dunn under the post. Umpire deems end of the game, perhaps a no goal. So New Zealand 69, don't quite make that 70, neat and tuck, and South Africa 32. So excellent performance here in this qualification round.
Yeah, so we've had a great game here today. Our first game of the playoff stages for our positions 1 to 8 here at the University of Botswana Indoor Sports Centre. And we've been treated to some great netball. So we're looking forward to what's to come for the rest of the day here at the Netball World Youth Cup in Gaborone. It's great to see the team spirit here at the Youth Cup. All the teams at the end of each game come together. And it's great to see all the support that they give each other. They might be feisty and be playing hard on court, but everybody's friends through netball. They thank the crowd as well. And our final score to was New Zealand 69, South Africa 32. So New Zealand will be moving through to the next stage of the playoffs, fighting in the top 4. And South Africa still have another game to try and get the best position that they can in the top 8.
Yeah, so teams will leave the court, go back, rest and recover, ready for their top 4 or 5 to 8 placing. So some highlights we leave you with some of the exceptional performances.
And we just had the player of the match announced on court was Kelly Jury, the goalkeeper for New Zealand. So great for her. And we'll leave you with some highlights with Kelly on court. And we'll see you for our next game today, which is Uganda versus Fiji.
Pushing boundaries, we are soaring high. Victory, victory, victory is in our blood. Victory, victory, victory is in our blood.
It's the time of the year, and we at it again. Just believe that you can become whatever you see in your head. The time is now, we can never look back. When the going is tough, we top it back. On to win, you should never lose that. So fell up in lose, I bet you relax.
Kotoma fati ngabobar, berapi ababar, abafati batalapon, bakaga bangit, pomne bakupaneti mabali. Kilitabo mono makamerafe, rekapile kameba, repila kabota, shabome bakupaneti mabali.
motshameko wa la ka tsela ntseng jalo setlhopha sa New Zealand se simolola jalo di-quarterfinals in a good way mo pool E ba fanya jalo setlhopha sa South Africa ka 69-32 motshameko e leng gore sa le batho elisitse bana ba South Africa gore it's not going to be an easy one. Setlhopha sa New Zealand ba supa jalo their intentions of defending this cup ka itsela gore ke bona jalo the defending champions ba fanya jalo setlhopha sa South Africa ka 69-32 ka itsela gore pool E santse ito tswelela mo tsela gompieko e tare hela ha re tswa ha e be le gore setlhopha sa Uganda se kopana jalo le setlhopha sa Fiji metshameko e tla nna ntse tswela ya le go ya go bona gore ke ditlhopha tse pedi tse di yang go tswa mo this group kana mo this pool e le gore they are going to advance to the semi-finals ke emetse jalo bakatisi ba ditlhopha tse ka bobedi gore ba ba tlhalosetse gore bone se leng gore ba se itemogetse ke eng go gore ga jalo mokatisi wa South Africa. Coach, hard luck, your impressions of the game please.
Oh, well done to the New Zealand game. They played excellent netball and congratulations to them qualifying for the semi-final.
What went wrong today? I mean, where were they stronger than you?
Oh no, and you can see they're just so experienced players. They put a hell of a lot of